All right, let's just jump right in. Picture this. It's 1926. In one corner, you've got this giant of industry, the guy who basically put the entire world on wheels. And in the other corner, a master of ancient spiritual wisdom. Now, this is a story of a meeting that, it should have been a total clash of civilizations, right? But what actually happened was something else entirely.
So, who exactly are we talking about here? On the surface, you couldn't find two people who were more different. Let's really dig into just how polar opposite their worlds were. Okay, so on one side you've got Henry Ford, the man, the legend, the absolute genius of Western materialism. We're talking assembly lines, tangible progress, stuff you can touch and build. And then on the complete other side of the spectrum, you have Murshid Inayat Khan, a teacher of Sufism, a true genius of Eastern mysticism. His world was all about meditation, the unseen, the spiritual. So yeah, one guy mastered the physical world and the other, the spiritual one.
So you stick these two massive forces in the same room, and you'd expect sparks to fly, right? This should be a debate for the ages. You've got matter versus spirit, action versus contemplation, and, the reporter who was actually there, he definitely thought so. But what happened next? Nobody saw it coming.
And that's it. That was the big, explosive outcome. Not a clash, not an argument, just total, complete agreement. I agree with you, and I agree with you. How is that even possible? How did the master of the factory floor and the master of meditation end up on the exact same page? Well, that's the mystery we're going to unpack right now. You see, the secret to how they agreed on everything, it actually starts before they even shook hands. It turns out this wasn't just some casual meet and greet for Henry Ford. Oh no, he had done his homework big time.
So let's picture the scene. We're in the library of the Ford Motor Company offices in Dearborn. Inayat Khan is waiting, and while he's waiting, he picks up a magazine. And what's he reading? An article outlining Henry Ford's own personal philosophy of religion. He's learning that Ford himself believed that modern life, with its rush for progress, had lost something essential, some kind of spiritual knowledge.
And then Ford walks in, and he doesn't come in with a challenge or a debate point. He comes in with this. He says, "I have been waiting to meet you. You are not really a stranger to me." Right away, he felt a connection. But why? How did he know so much about this mystic's teachings?
And this is where you really see the level of Ford's commitment. Get this. He was way too busy to actually go to Khan's lectures in Detroit. So what does he do? He hires a stenographer to go and write down every single word. He had the full transcripts sitting right there on his desk. See, this was never going to be a debate for him. He came into that room ready to, as he put it, compare notes like a fellow student.
So with that shared curiosity already established, they just dove straight into the deep end, right to the heart of the matter. What is reality? And what are these unseen forces that are shaping our world?
And Ford kicks things off with what he knows best, the automobile. He basically says, look, the power that makes a car go, it's invisible, right? And he takes that idea and runs with it. He suggests the world is just full of these intelligent, unseen entities. Call them electrons, if you like, he says, that kind of swarm to help a person who's on the right track. For Ford, the material world was literally buzzing with this invisible power.
And that is the moment it all clicks. Khan hears Ford talking about these intelligent electrons, and he immediately sees the connection. He says it completes the missing link in his own philosophy. What Ford was calling invisible power, for Khan, was the one being, this universal intelligence that's present in every single atom. They were talking about the same thing, just using a different vocabulary.
Okay, so if this invisible power is real, then the next question is, how do you tap into it? And guess what? They agreed on the method. Khan defined it as meditation, basically purposely shutting out all the noise and distractions of the material world so you can focus on that connection, the unity between your own soul and the soul of the universe.
And here's the kicker. Ford confirmed he had pretty much figured this out on his own. He talked about finding this renewal of strength whenever he would just quietly step away from the chaos of his business and just feel himself being part of that great unseen power. He was already practicing what Khan was preaching, he just didn't call it that.
All right, so from this big, shared philosophy, their conversation then turned to something really practical. How does connecting to this invisible power actually change the work we do in the real world? And specifically, they talked about the act of creation.
And they both agreed that real creativity, where the genius stuff happens, it comes from this state of self-forgetting. You know that feeling. You get so completely absorbed in what you're doing that your ego, your worries, the rest of the world, it all just fades away. And it's in that zone that the real inspiration strikes. And the thing you create ends up being way bigger and better than what you originally planned.
To really drive this point home, Ford shared this incredible story about the famous pianist Paderewski. He said the most beautiful music he ever heard wasn't at some grand concert. It was when Paderewski was just improvising, completely lost in the music, with Ford as his only audience. And Ford's takeaway from that is so profound. The best, purest creative work can never really be written down, because it flows directly from that live moment of connection.
And then Khan jumps on this and expands the idea. He argued that this state, this creative flow, isn't just for famous artists or virtuoso musicians. No, it's a state that's potentially open to every single one of us. Anyone who learns how to connect with that universal source of life, power, and beauty.
So the big question is, how do you bring all this together, right? How do you balance this deep, internal, spiritual work with the nonstop demands of a busy modern life? Well, they found an answer for that too.
Ford, always the practical guy, brings up a really good point. He's like, hey, if you meditate too much, there's not likely to be much work done. Who's going to build the cars? But Khan's reply was just perfect. He wasn't talking about checking out from the world. He reassures Ford that a little meditation doesn't lead to less work. It actually leads to more work and better work. Work done with a sense of peace and happiness.
And this, right here, is probably the most crucial point of their entire conversation. Khan makes it super clear. His message isn't about choosing spirit over matter. It's not about denying worldly success or achievement. It's all about balance. He preached that, yeah, go for your material goals, but alongside them, you have to seek real attainment in the world of the spirit too.
And to that, Ford gives his final 100% endorsement. He doesn't just agree, he calls their shared vision the real religion of life, something that every single one of us needs. The magnate of materialism had completely found common ground with the mystic.
Ford's closing thought is a really powerful one to sit with. He reflects on these massive reservoirs of spiritual strength that are available to all of us, but that we, in our busy lives, just thoughtlessly cut ourselves off from.
And that really leaves us with a question, doesn't it? One that feels even more important today than it did back in 1926. In our own rushing modern lives, with the phones buzzing and the constant demands, have we forgotten how to connect? Have we also thoughtlessly cut ourselves off from that reservoir of strength? And just imagine, what could we achieve if we learned once again how to tap back